How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs co-beat writer for On SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today as we've got a big Week 12 recap for you about the Kansas City Chiefs overtime victory over the AFC South division-leading Indianapolis Colts at Arrowhead. Wow. Now, I told you this going into this game. I've said it 2 weeks in a row now. Kansas City, the way that you get into the playoffs from now on, you got to win. It was a must-win scenario against the Denver Broncos in Week 11. You fell short 22-19. This week, you had a chance to go up against a first-place team, a team who already holds a playoff spot, and you had to win. It was really a end-all be-all a win for Kansas City. It needed to be, and it was. However, it took a second to have anyone really have some confidence in Kansas City winning. And maybe it's just me, but I personally think that the Chiefs didn't play the best game of football in terms of being aggressive. But also, you got to give credit to the Indianapolis Colts. They were a first-place team for a reason. Their defense was on fire, stopping a lot of Kansas City momentum that they had built throughout the game. So much so that Patrick Mahomes really needed to step up and show himself as the former MVP-type caliber player that he is, and he did just that. Patrick Mahomes tosses over 350 passing yards. He had one interception thrown, no passing touchdowns. You got to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that the Kansas City Chiefs, a lot of their points came from a field goal. In fact, going into halftime, they were down 14-9, and only because of some field goal touchdowns. Kareem Hunt had a terrific, field goal touchdown. No, just field goals. I apologize. But yes, going back to Kareem Hunt, he was terrific. Had a career high, or rather season high amount of carries in 30, and had 104 rushing yards. He scored a touchdown. His longest was 18 rushing yards. Now, I even said this going into the game that Kareem Hunt was a player to keep an eye on, and specifically more so, Kansas City needed to make sure that their ground game was strong. Patrick Mahomes, in his 4 carries, collected 30 rushing yards, which only aided them. Daniel Jones, the defense held him to 181 passing yards in 19 completions. He averaged just under 6 yards per reception, or per pass rather, and he had 2 touchdown passes, 0 quarterback sacks. Patrick Mahomes got sacked 4 times. We'll address that in a second. And even then, they stopped a large portion of the game. The Chiefs defense did, stopping the Colts offense in terms of Jonathan Taylor holding him to 58 rushing yards. Yeah, it was a all-around close game, and finally one that Kansas City got their 2024 flashback with, winning a 1-score game, going into overtime, adding the field goal as Harrison Butker walked the Chiefs off that field, going into winning their 5th home game of the season, 6 of their wins overall on the season. Now they hold a 6-5 record. All in all, Kansas City needed to play a strong game, and they did. They did. There was a lot of things that could have been cleaned up, I will admit. I think that the defense to begin the game was a little slow out of the gates. Keep in mind that the Colts scored in every quarter except for the 4th and overtime. So when the game was on the line, the Chiefs defense, led by defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, stepped up to the plate. Yeah, they didn't get any sacks on Daniel Jones, but they had 6 passes defended and 6 quarterback hits. George Karlaftis was out there looking strong. Brian Cook, Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, Trent McDuffie. This is how you win games. A lot of this stuff comes down right now for Kansas City to having the defense hold the offense back. You've got enough on the offensive side of the football, in my opinion, with the likes of Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Brashard Smith, Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown. You've got a lot of offensive weapons at your disposal. So Patrick Mahomes has chances to really get points on the board, let alone, Patrick Mahomes, he knows what to do and to find victories. But the defense really, really needed to come through after allowing two playoff-worthy teams in the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos to kind of, put you in a defensive box. But I would say, all in all, Kansas City's defense looked pretty good. They had 35 solo tackles, 58 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 6 passes defended. And, when Kansas City, sure, they didn't score in the first and the third quarter, but they did make their presence known in the second, fourth, and overtime. Because at the end of the day, who cares how you get the win? It was a must win for Kansas City. And now you can walk into week 13 against the Dallas Cowboys knowing that you've got some confidence on your side. If the Cowboys fall to Kansas City, it kind of goes into the narrative, Kansas City is not done until Kansas City is officially eliminated. And this is just proof of that. I told you that, in my opinion, moving forward for Kansas City, yes, you lost to Denver. You can't fix that now. That was the early November slate. You just defeated the Colts, a first-place team, and you get the Dallas Cowboys in November. You're 1-1 in November. If you can get out of this month with a winning record, winning 2 games, creating some separations within your win-loss total in the standings, and hopefully see your playoff chances rise while also keeping tabs on other opponents, coming, or rather in playoff contention. Kansas City, a veteran-led lineup, a veteran-led locker room, a veteran-led head coach. Everything needed to work in Kansas City's favor in this game, and it did. There were some moments where the offensive line, though, does show some weakness. Patrick Mahomes really shows himself as why he's a top 10, arguably top 5 quarterback in the National Football League still. He got sacked 4 times, 6 pressures. That it was just something where Kansas City really, really, really needed Mahomes to turn himself into what we've seen from him in the past. The offensive line still looks like an issue for Kansas City, but on top of that, Trey Smith got hurt as well, ruled out during the game. But going into this game, it felt like a must-win. Coming out of it, you can take a deep breath knowing that Kansas City is back ahead with a winning record, handing the Colts, a first-place team, their 3rd loss of the season. All in all, impressive win for Kansas City. Next up, you got the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Another one where you can win. You just got to stay sound. While it could be a little difficult for them, knowing that they're going into hostile territory and they haven't fared well on the road, this win should be able to put some momentum underneath your feet to lift you up and hopefully take down a Dallas Cowboys team that has been up and down this season as well. But with that being said, I want to know your thoughts on how you think this Kansas City Chiefs team has performed as of late, specifically in the win. You can let me know over if you follow me on X at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day. That's Dom Minchella. Dom Minchella, spelled DOMMINCHELLA. You can also follow us over at KC Chiefs on SI, both on X and Facebook. Everything gets posted there because the Kansas City Chiefs on SI is the place to get your Kansas City Chiefs news. With that, folks, be kind to one another. I'll see you tomorrow with my offensive line grades and review.